Velthar stood in the briefing room with 24 other Astrian soldiers. The blue light from the holographic display made everyone's skin look pale. Commander Relvan was talking about the new allies who had just joined the Galactic Defense Coalition. Humans. Velthar had heard of them but never met one. They are from a planet called Earth, the commander said. They have only been traveling in space for 200 years. Very young. Very inexperienced. But they are eager to help us fight the Drevmore. Velthar looked at the images on the screen. Humans were small, much smaller than Astrians. They had no natural armor on their skin. No claws, no enhanced vision. They looked soft and weak. Velthar wondered how such creatures could help in a war against the Drevmore swarm, the parasitic aliens that had been destroying colony after colony. Your battalion will work with a human military unit, Commander Relvan continued. You will teach them our protocols. You will learn their methods. This is a joint operation to build trust and cooperation. After the briefing ended, Velthar walked to the landing bay with his squad. He had been a soldier for 15 years. He had fought the Drevmore many times. He knew what war looked like. He knew what fear smelled like. He knew how soldiers should behave. The human transport ship arrived with a low hum. It was smaller than Astrian vessels and looked old. The landing ramp opened, and 5 humans walked out. They wore dark green uniforms with strange symbols. Their equipment looked simple but well-maintained. The human in front stepped forward. He was not tall, maybe reaching Velthar's shoulder. His hair was black and cut very short. His eyes were dark and calm. Sergeant Hyun, the human said, holding out his hand. Velthar had learned about this gesture. He reached out and grasped the human's hand. The grip was firm, stronger than Velthar expected. I am Velthar, squad leader, he replied. Sergeant Hyun turned to his team. This is Corporal Junho, our weapons specialist. A stocky human with broad shoulders nodded. Private Yuna, our medic. A female human with sharp eyes and quick movements raised her hand. Private Taeyong, our scout. A lean human with an easy smile waved. And Private Hana, communications expert. The last human, a female with steady hands, nodded once. Velthar introduced his own squad. The two groups studied each other in silence. The humans were so small, so fragile-looking. Their skin had no protective plates. Their fingers looked delicate, but something about their eyes bothered Velthar. They did not look afraid. They did not look nervous. They looked ready. We have reviewed your combat protocols, Sergeant Hyun said. We understand the mission parameters. Good, Velthar said. Tomorrow we deploy to Epsilon 7. It is a routine reconnaissance. We observe a Drevmore hive cluster. We collect data. We leave. Simple and safe. Private Junho smiled at that. It was a strange smile. Simple and safe, he repeated. Sure. That night, Velthar could not sleep well. He kept thinking about the humans. They seemed too calm, too comfortable. Did they not understand the danger? The Drevmore were monsters. They could rip through armor with their claws. Their acid could melt flesh in seconds. They attacked in swarms that could overwhelm even the best soldiers. The next morning, both squads boarded the dropship. The humans checked their weapons with practiced efficiency. Velthar noticed their rifles were different from Astrian weapons. Simpler. More mechanical. Less advanced. But the humans handled them with confidence. First time fighting Drevmore? Velthar asked Sergeant Hyun. First time fighting aliens at all, Hyun replied. We have only fought other humans before. Velthar's translator made a strange sound, as if confused. You fought? Your own species? Yes. For thousands of years. This disturbed Velthar more than he wanted to admit. What kind of species spent thousands of years fighting itself? How did they survive? The dropship landed on Epsilon 7. The colony had been abandoned 3 months ago when the Drevmore arrived. Now it was just empty buildings and dark tunnels. Perfect breeding ground for the parasites. Both squads moved through the colony in formation. Velthar's people used their enhanced senses to scan for threats. The humans used their equipment. Small cameras. Motion sensors. Simple tools that somehow worked just as well. Private Taeyong moved ahead as scout. Velthar watched him carefully. The human was fast and quiet. He moved through shadows like he was born in them. When he signaled all clear, his hand movements were precise and controlled. They reached the observation point overlooking the hive cluster. Velthar set up the scanning equipment, while Private Hana established the communication relay. She worked quickly, her fingers moving over the controls without hesitation. "Contact," Private Yuna whispered. She was watching through her rifle scope. 3 Drev more. Maybe 4. Moving toward the east tunnel. Velthar looked through his own scope. She was right. 3 Drev more warriors were patrolling the area. Standard behavior. Nothing unusual. "We wait," Velthar said. "We observe. We do not engage unless necessary." The hours passed slowly. The scanning equipment collected data about the hive structure, population estimates, movement patterns, resource distribution, everything the coalition needed to plan a proper assault later. Then something went wrong. One of the Drev Moor suddenly turned toward their position. Its head crest rose up, scenting the air. It made a clicking sound. A warning sound. "It detected us," Velthar said quietly. "Prepare to fall back to extraction point." But Sergeant Hyun held up his hand. "Wait. Just one. We can handle one." "Our protocol is to avoid engagement," Velthar said. "Our protocol is to complete the mission," Hyun replied. His voice was still calm, still steady. "Junho. Your shot." Corporal Junho raised his rifle. The Drev Moor was moving now, coming closer. 100 meters. 80. 60. Junho's finger touched the trigger. One shot. The Drev Moor dropped. It happened so fast that Velthar almost missed it. The human had waited until the creature was close. Closer than any Astrian would allow. Close enough to see its teeth. Then one shot. Perfect placement. The Drev Moor was dead before it hit the ground. "Clear," Junho said. His voice was as calm as if he had just turned off a light. Velthar stared at the human. There was no fear in his eyes. No excitement. No stress. Just calm. Professional calm. They completed the data collection and started moving back to the extraction point. Velthar kept watching the humans. They moved well together. They communicated with small gestures and quiet words. They seemed comfortable in the abandoned colony, as if ruins and darkness were familiar to them. When they reached the dropship, Velthar felt relieved. The mission was complete. Everyone was safe. Simple and routine, just as planned. But as the ship lifted off, he looked at the 5 humans sitting across from him. They were checking their weapons, sharing water. Private Taeyang was making Private Hana laugh about something. They looked so normal. So human. Yet something felt wrong. Velthar had been a soldier long enough to recognize other soldiers. These humans were soldiers. Real soldiers. Despite their small size, despite their lack of natural weapons, despite their primitive equipment, they were soldiers who had spent thousands of years fighting their own kind. And tomorrow, Velthar would fight beside them against real monsters. For the first time in his career, he wondered who would be more dangerous. The second mission came 3 days later. This time it was not just observation. Intelligence reported a small Drevmore hive on the mining station of Krell 9. The station still had automated systems running. The coalition wanted it back. Velthar stood in the dropship with both squads. 12 Astrians. 5 humans. They were flying toward a fight, not just a reconnaissance. He felt the familiar tension in his stomach. Good tension. The kind that kept soldiers alive. The humans showed no tension at all. Private Yuna was cleaning her medical kit. Private Hana was humming something soft and strange. Corporal Junho was sharpening a knife. An actual metal knife. Velthar had not seen anyone use bladed weapons in decades. Energy weapons and plasma rifles were standard. Knives were ancient technology. "Why the knife?" Velthar asked. Junho looked up and smiled. "Guns run out of bullets. Knives don't." The dropship landed on Krell 9's southern platform. Both squads deployed in standard formation. The station was dark except for emergency lights. Red shadows filled every corridor. The air smelled like rust and something else. Something organic and wrong. Drevmore scent. They moved through the station level by level. Velthar's squad took point, following protocol. Keep distance. Use long-range weapons. Eliminate threats efficiently. The humans followed, watching and learning. The first Drevmore they found was feeding on old equipment in a storage bay. It was alone. Young, maybe 2 meters tall. Its exoskeleton was still soft and pale. Velthar signaled his squad. 2 Astrians raised their plasma rifles. They fired together. The creature died instantly, its body collapsing in a smoking heap. "Clean kill," Velthar said. "This is how we do it. Maximum range. Overwhelming force. No risk." Sergeant Hyun nodded but said nothing. They continued deeper into the station. The Drevmore presence grew stronger. More scent markers. More biological residue on the walls. They were getting close to the hive center. Then they found the nest. The main cargo bay had been transformed. Drevmore biomatter covered the walls like sick webbing. Egg clusters hung from the ceiling. And in the center, a Drevmore warrior stood guard. This one was fully grown, 4 meters tall. Its exoskeleton was dark and hard. Its claws could cut through steel. "Fall back," Velthar ordered. "We need heavy weapons for this." Forla. But the warrior had already seen them. It screamed, a sound like tearing metal. Then it charged. Velthar's squad opened fire. Plasma bolts hit the creature's armor. Some bounced off. Some burned through. But the warrior kept coming. Fast. Too fast. "Spread out," Velthar shouted. "Maintain distance." His soldiers moved according to training. They created space. They found cover. They kept firing. This was proper combat doctrine. Stay away from the enemy. Use superior firepower. But Corporal Junho did something else. He ran forward. Velthar saw it happen and could not believe it. The human was running toward the Drevmore warrior. Not away. Toward. His rifle was firing, but he was closing the distance. 20 meters. 15. 10. "What is he doing?" one of Velthar's soldiers screamed. The Drevmore swung its massive claw. Junho dropped and slid under the swing. He came up inside the creature's reach, too close for it to use its claws effectively. And then Junho did something that made Velthar's blood turn cold. He pulled out his knife. The human stabbed upward, finding a gap in the exoskeleton under the creature's arm. The knife went deep. The Drevmore screamed again. It tried to shake Junho off, but the human held on. He pulled the knife out and stabbed again. And again. Private Taeyang ran forward to help. He had a knife too. Together, the 2 humans attacked the warrior from both sides. They moved like dancers, like they had done this 1,000 times before. Cut, dodge, stab, roll. Every movement was controlled, every strike was precise. The Drevmore warrior fell. It took 30 seconds. 30 seconds of close combat that broke every rule Velthar had ever learned. Junho stood up. He was covered in Drevmore blood. It steamed on his armor. He wiped his knife on his leg and looked at Velthar. "See?" he said. "Knives don't run out of bullets." Before Velthar could respond, alarms filled the station. The warrior's death scream had triggered something. More screams answered from deeper in the station. Many more. "The hive is awake," Private Yuna said. She said it like she was commenting on weather. "How many?" Sergeant Hyun asked. Private Hana checked her scanner. 40. Maybe 50. Coming from multiple directions. 50 Drevmore. Velthar felt ice in his chest. They needed to retreat. Now. The extraction point was 300 meters away. If they ran, they might make it. "Fall back," he ordered. "Fighting retreat! Move!" His squad started moving, fast but controlled. They fired behind them as they ran. This was the right choice, the only choice. You did not fight 50 Drevmore with 17 soldiers, but the humans were not moving. Sergeant Hyun was looking at a station map on his datapad. "This corridor," he said, pointing. "It's a choke point, narrows to 3 meters. If we hold there, they can only come at us a few at a time." "We cannot hold against 50, Velthar said. "We can hold long enough," Hyun replied. "You need 10 minutes to reach the extraction point and call for pickup. We will give you 10 minutes. You will die." Hyun looked at him. Those calm, dark eyes. "Maybe. But you will live. And you will complete the mission. That is what matters." Velthar wanted to argue. Wanted to order them to retreat. But something in the human's face stopped him. This was not bravery. This was not foolishness. This was certainty. The human had made a decision and nothing would change it. "6 of my soldiers will stay with you," Velthar said. "No," Hyun said. "You need them to protect the data. We will hold. You will run. Go. Now." The sounds of clicking and scraping were getting closer. The Drevmore were coming. Velthar made the hardest decision of his life. He took his squad and ran. But he left his helmet camera active, linked to the human's channel. As he ran through the corridors with his soldiers, he watched through the camera feed. The 5 humans set up their position. They placed explosive charges on the walls. They stacked equipment for cover. They checked their weapons. Private Yuna distributed medical supplies. Private Hana set up a portable shield generator. Junho and Taeyang positioned themselves at the front. The Drevmore arrived like a wave of chitin and claws. The humans opened fire. Their simple rifles made sharp cracking sounds, different from plasma weapons. Louder. More violent. Each shot hit. Each shot killed or wounded. The Drevmore fell, but more came. Always more. Junho ran out of ammunition. He dropped his rifle and pulled out his knife. A Drevmore warrior reached him. He ducked under its claws, stepped inside its reach, and drove the knife into its throat. He held on as the creature thrashed. When it died, he took its body and used it as a shield against the next attacker. Taeyang was laughing, actually laughing. He was firing his rifle with one hand and throwing grenades with the other. "Come on," he shouted. "Is that all you have?" Private Hana's shield generator failed. A Drevmore broke through. It slashed at her. She fell. Velthar's stomach dropped, but then Hana rolled, pulled a pistol from her belt, and shot the creature in its mouth. She stood up, bleeding from her arm, and went back to her position. "I am fine," she called out. "Keep fighting." Private Yuna was dragging Hana back. She was treating the wound while also firing her rifle. One hand held a medical tool. The other hand held a gun. She worked on both tasks at the same time. Her face concentrated, but calm. Velthar's squad reached the extraction point. He called for pickup. The dropship was coming, 8 minutes away. Through the camera feed, he watched the humans fight. They were surrounded by dead Drevmore. Mountains of bodies. But they were still fighting. Still holding the line. Private Taeyang took a hit. A Drevmore claw ripped across his leg. He went down. Velthar thought he was dead, but Taeyang pulled out a medical injector, stabbed it into his leg, and stood back up. He was still laughing. Blood ran down his armor, but he kept fighting. Sergeant Hyun's rifle exploded. Something had damaged it. He threw it at a Drevmore and pulled out a pistol. Then, he did something impossible. He started singing, a human song in a language Velthar did not know. The other humans joined him. They were singing while they fought. 6 minutes left. The explosives went off. The humans had timed them perfectly. The corridor collapsed, crushing dozens of Drevmore. But it also blocked the path forward. The humans were trapped. They could not retreat even if they wanted to. They did not seem to care. 3 minutes left. The singing stopped. The humans were running low on everything. Ammunition, medical supplies, energy. But they were still standing, still fighting, still alive. The dropship arrived. Velthar wanted to go back, wanted to help, but his squad held him. Mission complete, they said. We have the data. That is what the humans wanted. Then, through the smoke and blood, Velthar saw something that made his legs weak. The 5 humans were walking out. All 5. They were wounded. They were exhausted. But they were walking. Behind them, the corridor was filled with dead Drevmore. Velthar counted 53 bodies. 5 humans had held against 53 Drevmore. And 1. When they reached the extraction point, Sergeant Hyun looked at Velthar. There was blood on his face. His armor was shredded, but his eyes were still calm. 10 minutes, Hyun said. As promised. That night, Velthar could not sleep at all. He kept seeing those 5 humans fighting, laughing, singing, bleeding, winning. He had fought beside many soldiers, different species, different worlds, but he had never seen anything like this. He had seen something beyond bravery, beyond training, beyond reason. He had seen humans at war, and for the first time in his life, Velthar understood true horror. Over the next 4 weeks, Velthar worked with the human squad on 7 more missions. Each mission taught him something new about humans. Each lesson disturbed him more than the last. The 3rd mission was a defense operation. They had to hold a supply depot for 48 hours while reinforcements arrived. Standard military procedure meant rotating soldiers in shifts. 8 hours on duty, 8 hours rest, 8 hours standby. This kept soldiers fresh and alert. Velthar set up the rotation schedule. He assigned humans to the 3rd shift, which would start in 16 hours. We will take first watch, Sergeant Hyun said. You should rest first, Velthar replied. You will be more effective after sleep. We don't need sleep yet. Humans require sleep every 24 hours. This is biology. Hyun smiled. It was a tired smile. Humans require a lot of things. Sleep, food, water. We are very good at ignoring what we require. The humans took first watch, then second watch, then third watch. 48 hours passed. The humans never slept. They drank something black and bitter that they called coffee. They took pills that they said helped them stay awake, but mostly they just continued. Hour after hour. Alert. Professional. Awake. When Velthar insisted they rest, Private Taeyong laughed. We will sleep when we are dead, he said. Velthar realized the human was not joking. The 5th mission showed him something worse. They were clearing a Drevmore nest in an underground facility. Corporal Junho took a plasma bolt to the shoulder. The blast burned through his armor and into his flesh. The smell of burned meat filled the corridor. Junho stumbled, dropped to one knee. Velthar called for Private Yuna. The medic came running, but Junho stood back up before she arrived. He switched his rifle to his left hand. His right arm was hanging useless. Smoke rose from the wound. But he raised his rifle and kept firing. Junho, you are wounded, Velthar shouted. I am aware, Junho replied. He fired 3 more shots. 3 more dead Drevmore. I can still fight. I will get medical attention when we are done. Yuna reached him. She looked at the wound. That is bad, she said. I know. You should be unconscious from pain. I know. She pulled out a spray and covered the wound with something that hardened like plastic. This will keep you from bleeding out. But you need real medical attention soon. How soon? 2 hours, maybe 3. The mission will be complete in 90 minutes, Junho said. I will survive. He did survive. He fought for 90 more minutes with a destroyed shoulder. He never made a sound, never complained. When the mission ended, he walked to the medical bay on his own. Only then did he sit down and let them treat him properly. Velthar asked Yuna about it later. How can he fight with such injury? Training, she said simply. Human military training includes pain tolerance. We learn to function while injured. We learn that pain is just information. It tells you something is wrong, but wrong does not mean unable. This is not normal. Yuna looked at him with those sharp eyes. No, she said. It is not. But normal soldiers do not win wars. We do. The seventh mission was the worst. They were escorting a supply convoy through hostile territory. Intelligence said the route was safe. Intelligence was wrong. A Drevmore ambush hit them in a narrow canyon. The convoy was trapped. Drevmore attackers came from above, dropping from the cliff walls. Dozens of them. Standard Astrian response was to form a defensive circle and call for air support. Wait for help. Minimize casualties. The humans did something different. Taeyang, Hana, take the left cliff, Sergeant Hyun shouted. Junho, with me on the right. Yuna, stay with the convoy. Before Velthar could say anything, 4 humans were climbing the cliff walls. Actually climbing, using their hands and feet to scale a vertical rock face while Drevmore attacked from above. What are they doing? One of Velthar's soldiers asked. They are attacking upward, Velthar said. He could not believe his own words. The humans reached the cliff tops. The sounds of fighting came from above. Screams, gunfire, explosions. Then silence. 5 minutes later, Sergeant Hyun's voice came over the radio. Cliffs are clear. You are safe to move. When the convoy reached the top, Velthar saw what the humans had done. They had killed every Drevmore up there. 23 bodies. 4 humans. 23 Drevmore. Why did you do that? Velthar asked. Why not wait for air support? Air support takes 30 minutes, Hyun said. People die in 30 minutes. We had them. We took them. You could have died. Yes, but we did not. That was when Velthar started spending more time talking with the humans. He needed to understand them. He needed to know what made them so different. One evening, he found Private Yuna alone in the medical bay. She was organizing supplies. Her movements were quick and efficient. Like everything else she did. Can I ask you something? Velthar said. Of course. How do you do it? How do you stay so calm? Every battle I see you treating wounds while being shot at. You never panic. You never freeze. How? Yuna stopped working and looked at him. We have a saying in human military. Panic kills faster than bullets. If I panic, my patients die. If I stay calm, I can save them. So I stay calm. But you must feel fear. Every second, she said. Fear is good. Fear keeps you alert. But we control the fear. We do not let it control us. How do you learn this? Training. Years of training. They put us in terrible situations. Again and again. They make us practice until fear becomes just another thing in the background. Like noise. Like pain. Just information we can process and ignore. Velthar thought about this. What kind of species trains its children to ignore pain and fear? Yuna smiled sadly. A species that has been at war for its entire history. Humans have been fighting since before we had words for what fighting was. War is in our blood. In our bones. We evolved to be good at it. Later that week, Velthar talked with Corporal Junho. They were on a transport ship between missions. Junho was cleaning his weapons. Always cleaning. Always preparing. Why do you fight close? Velthar asked. Every species in the coalition fights from distance. Use technology. Use range. Stay safe. But you use knives. You fight hand to hand. Why? Junho looked up from his work. Because distance is a luxury. Sometimes you run out of ammunition. Sometimes the enemy gets close. When that happens, you need to be able to fight with hands, with feet, with teeth if necessary. With teeth? It is an expression. It means using whatever you have. No weapon? Use your hands. No hands? Use your head. No head? He smiled. Then, you are dead. But until you are dead, you fight. This is what being human means. Other species do not think this way. No, Junho agreed. They do not. And that is why they lose more often than we do. The most disturbing conversation was with Sergeant Hyun. They were standing watch together on a cold night. Stars filled the sky above them. Both held weapons. Both watched the darkness. Your squad holds together well, Velthar said. You trust each other completely. We are family, Hyun said. Not by blood. By choice. When you fight beside someone, when you save their life and they save yours, you become closer than family. We would die for each other. Not because we are ordered to, because we choose to. This is why you did that suicide hold at Krell 9. You chose to stay so others could live. Yes. But you could have died. Yes. Does this not frighten you? Hyun was quiet for a long time. Then he said, There is a human saying. The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. The Drevmore are evil. They destroy. They consume. They spread like disease. If good people like us do nothing, then evil wins. So we do something, even if it means we die, because some things are more important than living. Like what? Like making sure others get to live. Like protecting those who cannot protect themselves. Like standing against the darkness so the light can continue. Hyun looked at Velthar. You think we are crazy? Maybe you are right, but crazy people who fight for good are better than sane people who run from evil. Velthar had no response to that. The next mission came 2 days later. Coalition intelligence reported that a Drevmore raid had captured Coalition soldiers. 12 people. 3 of them were Astrians from Velthar's own battalion. The base where they were held was heavily fortified. The Coalition command made a decision. The base was too strong. A rescue would cost too many lives. They would leave the prisoners. When Velthar heard this, he felt sick. Those were his people, his friends. And command was abandoning them. That night, Sergeant Hyun found him. We are going after them, Hyun said quietly. What? The prisoners. We are going to rescue them. Tonight. With or without permission. Command said no. The base is too fortified. It is suicide. Maybe. But we are going anyway. Hyun put his hand on Velthar's shoulder. You can come with us. Or you can stay. Your choice. But we are not leaving people behind. That is not what humans do. Velthar thought about his friends in that base. Thought about them being tortured. Being implanted with Drevmore larvae. Dying slowly in darkness. Then he thought about these 5 small humans who refused to follow orders. Who refused to accept defeat. Who chose to fight because it was right, even if it was impossible. I am coming with you, Velthar said. Hyun smiled. Good. Then let me explain our plan. It is completely insane. Hyun was right. Velthar hated the plan, but he followed the humans anyway. Into darkness, into danger. Into what every logical part of his brain knew was certain death. And for the first time since meeting humans, Velthar felt something other than horror. He felt hope. The plan was simple. Simple and insane. They would infiltrate the Drevmore stronghold using captured pheromones to mask their scent. They would go in through the waste tunnels that were too small for most species. They would use Drevmore bioweapons against the hive itself. And when discovered, they would make so much chaos that the enemy would not know what was happening. This plan requires everything to go perfectly, Velthar said. If even one thing goes wrong, we all die. Yes, Sergeant Hyun agreed. That is why it will work. The Drevmore will not expect anyone to be this stupid. They moved out at midnight. 6 soldiers going against a fortress that held thousands of Drevmore. The transport dropped them 5 kilometers away. They walked the rest. Through dead forests and empty ruins, the stronghold rose ahead of them like a mountain of death. The waste tunnels were exactly as intelligence reported. Narrow, wet, filled with the smell of decay. Private Taeyang went first, crawling through the darkness, with only a small light. Velthar followed. His body barely fit through spaces that the humans moved through easily. They crawled for an hour. Sometimes the tunnel was so narrow that Velthar had to push himself forward with his feet alone. His shoulders scraped against the walls. His breath came hard and fast. "You okay back there?" Taeyang whispered. "I am fine," Velthar lied. "Good. Because this is the easy part." They emerged inside the stronghold's lower levels. The pheromone disguises worked. Drevmore workers passed within meters and did not react. The humans moved like shadows, following corridors that Private Hana had mapped from intelligence data. They reached a storage chamber filled with bioweapons, Drevmore acid bombs, toxin sprayers, genetic explosives. Sergeant Hyun and Corporal Junho started placing charges while Private Yuna kept watch. "These weapons will turn the hive against itself," Junho explained quietly. "The acid will eat through the support structures. The toxins will confuse their coordination. The genetic material will make them see each other as enemies. Many too. Think you see. The day why. The day why. We also. The day why. The day why. We'll see. The day why. How do you know this will work?" Velthar asked. "We tested it on smaller hives. It worked 3 times out of 5. What happened the other 2 times?" Junho grinned in the darkness. "Everyone died. They moved deeper. The prisoner cells were in the central section, surrounded by warrior barracks and feeding chambers. Getting there meant crossing open spaces. Spaces filled with Drevmore. We need a distraction," Hyun said. "Something big." Private Hana pulled out a device that Velthar did not recognize. "Signal jammer. It will scramble their pheromone communication. Make the entire hive think they are under attack from all directions. That will bring every Drevmore warrior in the fortress down on us," Velthar said. "Yes," Hyun said. "That is the point. They cannot find the prisoners if they are all looking for us." Hana activated the device. The effect was immediate. Throughout the stronghold, Drevmore began screaming. The sound was like 1,000 pieces of metal scraping together. Warriors emerged from chambers, claws raised, looking for threats. "Run," Hyun said calmly. They ran. Drevmore warriors charged from every direction. The humans fired as they moved, each shot precise despite the speed. Velthar tried to keep up, but the humans were faster. Private Taeyang moved like wind. Private Hana dodged between enemies with impossible grace. They reached a main corridor. It was wide, long, perfect for what the humans planned next. "Set the trap," Hyun ordered. The humans placed explosives on the walls, mines on the floor, tripwires across doorways. They worked with practiced speed. Velthar helped where he could. But mostly, he just tried not to get in the way. Hundreds of Drevmore were coming. The sound of their approach was like thunder. The floor shook with their footsteps. "Trigger the alarm," Hyun said. "Bring them all here." Private Hana did something to her device. Throughout the stronghold, every alarm activated at once. Lights, sounds, chemical signals. The fortress thought it was being invaded by a full army. The Drevmore came like a wave. They filled the corridor. Hundreds of bodies, thousands of claws. They charged forward with mindless fury, driven by biological programming. To defend the hive at any cost, the humans opened fire. The corridor became a killing field. Explosions ripped through the Drevmore ranks. Mines detonated. Tripwires released acid sprays. The walls collapsed, crushing dozens, but more kept coming. Always more. "Fall back!" Hyun shouted. They retreated through the corridors, firing as they went. The Drevmore followed. Exactly as planned. The humans were leading them away from the prisoner cells, leading them into more traps, more explosives, more death. Corporal Junho ran out of ammunition. He dropped his rifle and pulled his knife. A Drevmore warrior reached him. Its claw swung down. Junho sidestepped and drove his knife up under the creature's jaw. The warrior fell. Junho took its body and threw it at the next attacker, using the corpse as a weapon. Private Taeyang was laughing again. "This is the best day ever." he shouted while throwing grenades with both hands. You are insane, Velthar shouted back. I know, Taeyang replied happily. They reached the prisoner cells. The door was reinforced, bio-locked, designed to resist forced entry. Private Hana pulled out a device. 30 seconds, she said. We don't have 30 seconds, Velthar said, as more Drevmore appeared. Then buy me 30 seconds, Hana replied without looking up. The humans formed a line. 5 meters from the door. They faced the approaching horde with weapons raised. Private Yuna was on one knee. Rifle steady. Junho stood with knife in one hand and pistol in the other. Taeyang was reloading. Still smiling, Sergeant Hyun checked his ammunition and said something in his native language. It sounded like a prayer. The Drevmore attacked. The humans fired. Bodies fell. The line held. 20 seconds. More Drevmore came. The humans started singing. That same song from before. Velthar did not understand the words, but he understood the meaning. It was a war song. A death song. A song that said they would not run. They would not surrender. They would stand until they fell. 15 seconds. Private Yuna took a hit. A Drevmore claw cut across her armor. She stumbled but stayed standing. She fired 3 more shots. 3 more dead Drevmore. 10 seconds. Corporal Junho's pistol ran empty. He threw it at a warrior's face and drew a second knife. Now he had 2. He moved between enemies like a dancer, cutting and spinning and killing. 5 seconds. Sergeant Hyun's rifle exploded in his hands. Damaged ammunition. The blast threw him backward. He rolled, stood up, and picked up a Drevmore claw from a dead warrior. He used it like a sword. His face was bloody, but his eyes were still calm. 0 seconds. Got it, Hana shouted. The door opened. Inside, 12 prisoners were chained to walls. They looked terrible. Starved. Beaten. Some had Drevmore larvae implanted in their bodies. They looked at Velthar with hollow eyes. We're getting you out, Velthar said. Private Yuna pushed past him. She looked at the prisoners with her medic's eyes. They're dying, she said. The larvae have spread too far. They have maybe hours left. Then we have to leave them. One of the prisoners said weakly. Save yourselves. No, Yuna said. She pulled out her medical tools. In human medicine, you are not dead until you are warm and dead. You are still cold. That means I can still save you. The larvae can be removed. It will be painful. It might kill you. But it gives you a chance. And a chance is better than nothing. She started working. Her hands moved with incredible speed. She cut into flesh, pulled out larvae, sealed wounds, used drugs that Velthar had never seen before, all while the sounds of battle continued outside. Private Hana was helping her. Heart rate dropping on this one, she said. Give him the stimulant, the red one. That might kill him. Leaving the larva will definitely kill him. Give him the injection. They worked for 15 minutes, 15 minutes that felt like hours. Outside, the 3 remaining humans held the line. They ran out of ammunition and used knives. They ran out of knives and used their hands. They ran out of strength and used their will. Velthar joined them. He fired until his weapon was empty. Then he used his claws. He fought beside the humans and understood something. This was not about tactics. This was not about strategy. This was about refusing to quit. About standing against impossible odds because standing was all you had left. All patients stable, Yuna called out. They can be moved. Good, Hyun said, because I am out of ideas. Then a sound filled the corridor. A beautiful sound. The roar of human engines. This is Rescue Team Delta, a voice came over the radio. We have your emergency beacon. Hold position. We are coming in hot. Private Hana laughed. It was a tired, relieved laugh. I activated the beacon 20 minutes ago, she said. I knew we would need backup. Why did you not tell us? Velthar asked. Because if I told you help was coming, you might not have fought as hard. Fear is a wonderful motivator. Fear is a wonderful motivator. The rescue team arrived with heavy armor and directed energy weapons. They cleared the corridor in minutes. The Drevmore fortress fell in less than an hour. The bioweapons that the humans had sabotaged created chaos throughout the hive. Warriors fought each other. Structures collapsed. The stronghold destroyed itself. All 12 prisoners survived. All 6 rescue team members survived. The mission that Command said was impossible was complete. As they flew away in the rescue transport, Velthar looked at the 5 humans. They were covered in blood. Their armor was destroyed. They had injuries that would hospitalize most soldiers for weeks. They were sleeping, finally sleeping, sitting upright in their seats with weapons still in their hands. Even in sleep, they remained ready to fight. Velthar realized something then. He had been asking the wrong question. He had been asking how humans did these things. How they fought so hard. How they ignored pain and fear. How they never gave up. The answer was simple. They did it because they chose to. Because somewhere in their evolution, humans had decided that survival was not enough. That living was not the same as being alive. That some things were worth dying for. And once a species learned that lesson, they became unstoppable. Outside the window, the burning fortress collapsed into itself. Thousands of Drevmore died in the flames. Velthar closed his eyes and tried to sleep, but all he could see was 5 humans standing against an army, singing. The tribunal took place 1 week after the rescue mission. Velthar stood in front of a panel of 5 coalition commanders. They represented 5 different species. All looked at him with cold, judgmental eyes. "You disobeyed direct orders," Commander Relvan said. "You participated in an unauthorized military operation. You risked coalition resources without permission. Do you understand the severity of these charges?" "I do," Velthar said. "Then why did you do it?" Velthar thought about his answer carefully. "Because it was the right thing to do." The commanders spoke among themselves in low voices. Then, one of them, a tall insectoid named Krian, leaned forward. "The right thing is not always the military thing. Soldiers follow orders. They do not make independent decisions based on personal feelings." "I know," Velthar said. "I spent 15 years following orders. But the humans taught me something different." "And what did these humans teach you?" "That sometimes the right thing and the military thing are not the same. And when that happens, you have to choose which kind of soldier you want to be." Before the commanders could respond, the door opened. Sergeant Hyun walked in with his squad. They were in dress uniforms. Clean. Professional. They saluted the commanders and stood at attention. "We request permission to testify," Hyun said. Commander Relvan looked annoyed. "This is not necessary." "With respect, Commander, it is." Velthar acted under our influence. "If anyone should be punished, it is us. We asked him to come. We planned the mission. We take full responsibility." "You are humans," Krian said. "You are not subject to coalition military law. You are auxiliary forces. Then we request to be subject to coalition law," Hyun said. "We want the same rules as everyone else. The same punishments. The same rewards. We are not auxiliary anymore. We are soldiers. And soldiers stand together." The commanders talked among themselves for a long time. Finally, Commander Relvan spoke. "The charges against Velthar are dropped. The unauthorized mission achieved its objective. All prisoners were recovered. The Drevmore stronghold was destroyed. While we cannot officially approve of your methods, we cannot deny your results. This tribunal is dismissed." Velthar felt relief wash through him. He saluted and turned to leave. Hyun walked with him. "Thank you," Velthar said. "You did not have to do that." "Yes, we did," Hyun replied. "You stood with us. We stand with you. That is how it works." Over the following weeks, Velthar spent more time with the human squad. He wanted to understand them fully. To see past the horror and find the humanity beneath. One afternoon, he found Private Yuna in the medical bay. She was reading something on a datapad. When Velthar entered, she looked up and smiled. "How are your injuries?" he asked. She had taken several wounds in the rescue mission. Healing, she said. She showed him her arm. The cut from the Drevmore claw was already closed, leaving only a thin scar. Human bodies heal fast. Another useful trait. Velthar sat down across from her. Can I ask you something personal? Of course. How do you do it? How do you heal people and fight at the same time? How do you see so much death and still care about life? Yuna was quiet for a moment. Because someone has to, she finally said. In war, it is easy to forget that people are people. They become targets, objectives, statistics. But I am a medic. When I see a wounded soldier, I do not see a target. I see a person, someone's friend, someone's family, and I remember that every life matters. That is why I fight. Not to kill enemies, but to save friends. Even when it seems hopeless, especially when it seems hopeless. Hope is not about knowing you will win. Hope is about fighting even when you might lose. Because if you do not fight, you lose for certain. But if you fight, you might win. And that possibility is worth everything. Another day, Velthar talked with Corporal Junho. They were at a training facility, watching new coalition soldiers practice combat drills. They train well, Junho observed. Good form, good discipline. But, Velthar sensed there was more. But they train to avoid mistakes. They train to follow rules. They train to be perfect. Junho looked at Velthar. Humans train to survive chaos. We train to make mistakes and keep fighting anyway. We train to break rules when rules don't work. We train to be imperfect but unstoppable. Is that why you fight so close? Why you use knives and hands? Partly. But also because distance creates hesitation. When you are far from your enemy, it is easy to see them as not real, just shapes to shoot at. But when you fight close, you see their eyes, you smell their breath, you feel them die. It is horrible, but it is honest. And humans value honesty, even horrible honesty. Do you ever fear that you have become too good at killing? Junho was quiet for a long time. Every day, he finally said. Every single day. But then I remember what we are killing. The Drevmore destroy entire worlds. They erase civilizations. If I must become a monster to stop monsters, then that is what I do. I just hope that when the war ends, I can remember how to be human again. The most important conversation happened with Sergeant Hyun. They were alone on a transport ship, traveling to their next assignment. The stars moved past the window like slow rain. You are troubled, Hyun said. I am confused, Velthar replied. For weeks, I have watched you and your squad. I have seen you do impossible things. I have seen you fight like demons and care like angels. And I still do not understand. What makes humans so different? Hyun thought about this. Can I tell you a story? Please. On Earth, thousands of years ago, humans lived in caves. We were not the strongest animals. Not the fastest. Not the biggest. Lions could kill us. Wolves could hunt us. Bears could crush us. We should have died out. But we survived. Do you know why? Better tools? No. Better cooperation. Humans learned to work together. We learned to trust each other. We learned that a group of weak humans was stronger than one strong lion. And we learned something else. We learned to run. To run? Humans can run longer than almost any animal on Earth. We are not fast sprinters. But we can run for hours. Days even. Ancient humans would chase animals until the animals collapsed from exhaustion. We call it persistence hunting. We would not give up. We would never give up. And eventually, we would win. Hyun looked at Velthar. That is what makes humans different. We evolved to never give up. To keep going when every other species would stop. To stand when others would fall. To fight when others would flee. It is in our blood, in our bones. In every cell of our body, we are the species that would not quit. And we brought that trait with us to the stars. But what about the cost? The pain? The fear? We accept them. We acknowledge them. We carry them with us. Every human soldier carries ghosts. Friends who died. Missions that failed. Mistakes that cost lives. We carry these ghosts because forgetting them would mean their deaths meant nothing. So we remember. We hurt. We fear. And then we stand up and fight anyway. Not because we are fearless, but because we fear what happens if we do nothing more than we fear what happens if we try. Velthar felt something shift in his understanding. You are not warriors because you lack fear. You are warriors because you master it. Yes, fear is a tool, pain is a tool, even death is a tool. We use everything. We waste nothing. Because we learned long ago that the universe does not care about fairness. It does not care about who deserves to win. It only cares about who refuses to lose. 3 days later, Velthar submitted a formal request to Coalition Command. He asked for permanent assignment to Human Joint Operations. His commander called him in to discuss it. Why? Commander Relvan asked. You have a good career with your own people. Why work with humans? Because I want to learn from them, Velthar said. Because they make me a better soldier. Because when I fight beside them, I remember why we fight. Not to destroy enemies, but to protect friends. You know what they say about humans. That they are too aggressive, too reckless, too willing to die. I know what they say. I also know what I have seen. I have seen humans hold impossible lines. I have seen them rescue prisoners that everyone else abandoned. I have seen them stand against armies and win. If that is recklessness, then I want to learn that recklessness. If that is aggression, then I want to understand that aggression. Because it works. Commander Relvan studied him for a long moment. Request approved, he finally said. But remember this, humans are effective. But they are also dangerous. Even to themselves. Do not forget that. The final scene took place at the landing bay. Velthar was preparing to deploy with the human squad on a new mission. They stood together, checking equipment. Sergeant Hyun welcomed him officially. You are part of the team now, Hyun said. That means you are family. We protect family. We die for family if necessary. Can you accept that? I can, Velthar said. Private Hannah smiled. Then you need to learn our battle cry. It is important. What is it? The 5 humans stood together. They looked at Velthar with those calm, determined eyes. Then they shouted together, Hoorah! The sound echoed through the landing bay. Strong, defiant, unbreakable. What does it mean? Velthar asked. It means different things to different people. Private Taeyang said. For some, it means yes. For others, it means understood. For me, it means I am ready. What does it mean for you? Velthar asked Sergeant Hyun. Hyun smiled. It means we refuse to quit. It means we stand together. It means that no matter what hell we walk into it as brothers and sisters. It means we are human. And being human means never surrendering, never retreating, never accepting defeat, even when defeat seems certain. Velthar thought about everything he had learned, about persistence, about courage, about standing against the darkness, about 5 small humans who taught him that horror and hope were 2 sides of the same coin. He stood straight, looked at his new family, and spoke. Hoorah! It felt strange on his tongue. Strange but right. The humans smiled. Corporal Junho clapped him on the shoulder. Private Yuna handed him a patch with the human squad symbol. Private Taeyang showed him the proper way to load a human rifle. The mission briefing came through. Another Drevmore incursion. Another battle. Another chance to die or survive. The squad boarded the dropship. As it lifted off, Velthar looked at his new team. They were checking weapons, running through procedures, preparing to face horror with calm professionalism. And for the first time since meeting humans, Velthar did not feel disturbed by what he saw. He felt proud. Proud to fight beside them. proud to learn from them, proud to stand against the darkness with soldiers who had mastered the art of being terrifying for the right reasons. He pulled out his datapad and began writing his report to Coalition Command. His final assessment of humanity. He wrote, "Humans are not the strongest species in the galaxy. They are not the fastest or smartest or most advanced. But they possess something unique, something that cannot be taught or programmed or evolved. They possess the absolute refusal to accept defeat. They look at impossible situations and say, yes, we can. They look at overwhelming odds and say, yes, we will. They look at death itself and say, not today." I spent weeks being horrified by humans, by their disregard for safety, by their tolerance for pain, by their willingness to die. But I was asking the wrong question. I was asking, how can they do this? The right question is, why do they do this? And the answer is simple. They do it because someone must. Because evil exists. Because monsters are real. And because if good people do nothing, then evil wins. Humans are not heroes because they lack fear. They are heroes because they act despite fear. They are not warriors because they love violence. They are warriors because they hate what violence protects against. They do not fight because they want to. They fight because they must. And they do it better than anyone else because they have been doing it longer than any other species. They have been fighting since before they had words. And they will keep fighting until the last human falls. We invited humans into the coalition thinking we would protect them. I now know this was backwards. They protect us. Not because we are weak, but because protection is what they do. It is who they are. It is why they exist. If the universe needs monsters to fight monsters, then humanity is the best monster we have. And I am honored to stand beside them. Velthar closed his datapad. The dropship was approaching the combat zone. Alarms started sounding. The squad stood up. Weapons ready. Sergeant Hyun looked at everyone. "Standard mission," he said. "We go in. We complete the objective. We come home." Questions? No one had questions. They had done this before. They would do it again and again until the war was over or they were dead. "Remember," Hyun said, "we are human. We do not quit. We do not fail. We do not surrender. We stand together. We fight together. We win together. Hoorah!" The squad shouted together. "Hoorah!" Velthar shouted with them. The dropship doors opened. Fire and death waited outside. The Drevmore were there. Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. The squad moved forward without hesitation. Into the fire. Into the death. Into the horror. And somewhere in that moment, running toward impossible odds with 5 humans who refused to accept defeat, Velthar understood the final truth about humanity. They were not the scariest thing in the universe because they were strong. They were the scariest thing in the universe because they were unstoppable, and nothing in all of creation could stand against that which refused to fall.